Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we're going to be diving in deep into what it really takes to create a Grammy-winning album and discussing how to build a perfect recording studio. Please help us welcome him back to the circle, six-time award-winning mixing engineer, producer, songwriter, and the co-owner of a new studio here in Las Vegas called Shrine Studios. We got Mr. James Bonzai Caruso. So good to have you back in the circle, brother.
Yeah, definitely good to see you again.
Chris, thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
We definitely got to shout out International GT, man, for connecting us.
Oh,
you know, we had you about I think it was about a little over a year ago. We had you on the pod.
Has it been that long?
Yeah,
my man.
Goes quick.
Time flies, huh?
It goes quick, man.
Sure does.
But let's dive right in, man. So you produced and been part of some of my favorite music. I mean, I can't even list. I mean, Chris and I were talking about it earlier. I mean, your resume is unreal, from Mariah Carey and just all these different people that you work with. I mean, you produced Distant Relatives, which was one of my favorite albums with Nas and Damian Marley. But let's talk about just the 6 Grammys. So the 6 projects you worked on. Can you kind of name, those 6 Grammys that you actually won?
Yeah,
a Grammy on?
And just to clarify, as a mix engineer on those, not producer.
No, I'm sorry. Apologize.
I mean, I'm always involved with. We're doing the production together, but I'm credited as the
mixing engineer. I always get that wrong.
Fine.
Yeah.
This is basically what I do.
Okay.
But in terms of those Grammys, the first one was 2001 with Damian Marley, Halfway Tree.
Wow. Okay.
And followed by, was it Welcome to Jamrock? In 2005.
Fire album,
which
too.
Actually, a lot of people don't know this, but Welcome to Jamrock won 2 Grammys.
Did it really?
One for Best Reggae Album and Best Urban Alternative Single as well. So there's 2 on that, one for the single and one for the album.
Wow.
Followed by 2007 with Stephen Marley's debut album, Mind Control. And then 2000.
One of my favorite. I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I love that. We spent years on that record. And oh my God, it's such a beautiful album. I love Stephen so much. Anyway, and then the one after that was in 2009, the same album, Mind Control, but in the acoustic format. We re-released it in acoustic format. And it won the Grammy in 2009.
Wow. Yeah.
Is that harder to do? Because the winner for one album is one thing, right? But to reintroduce it in a different way and win it again, that seems like doesn't happen very often.
It wasn't really hard. It was just a different approach musically to those same beautiful, wonderful songs, but just like kind of, I don't want to say reinventing them, but, reproducing them in an acoustic, unplugged, if you will, format, right?
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. I really enjoyed doing the unplugged version.
Yeah, very organic, right?
Exactly.
The noise and everything,
it.
the whole, the spirit of the room,
Yeah.
that's powerful. What kind of sparked your interest to kind of get into the music industry? Like, when did you get in?
Oh, geez. Long story, but I'll keep it short. As a child, growing up in the country of New Jersey, working on farms, and I picked up an acoustic guitar when I was about 13 or 14, and I had kind of a rough childhood there for a minute with an abusive stepfather, and I just was in a bad place and very angry and upset young man, and but music was obviously it made me so happy and safe and wonderful feeling, and I just got deep into it at a young age, fortunately. So when I graduated high school in New Jersey, I went straight to Manhattan and enrolled in the Institute of Audio Research. And at that time, it was part of NYU, or I could transfer the credits to NYU anyway, in Greenwich Village there. I was 18 years old. And so they placed me in an internship at a studio called Secret Sound Studios.
Okay.
Which is a little analog 24-track room where I started, learning how to use microphones. It was all analog back in those days. Of course, this was their very early 80s. And it had jingles and jazz records, and then the drum machines were like kind of new on the scene, along with samplers. So the 808 and the DMX and the Lindrum, and I learned how to rock those things, and was kind of left alone there to just because at that time there were staff engineers, so they would show up to do their 9 to 5 and whatever, a jingle or a piano vocal that day, or perhaps a guitar overdub or vocal overdubs, and then they'd go home. That was the thing, and they were there for a paycheck. But I was an intern and hungry, and I just wanted to learn. I basically lived on the couch and spent 90 hours a week there at the studio, and that's how I progressed to learning how to. And that's how I hooked up with all Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash and Sissy Houston, Whitney Houston, and Whitney and I are about the same age, so she was singing backgrounds on her mother's album. So it was a great time in New York City to be interning in the studio and with all these people coming in and out every day. I was very fortunate and blessed.
I can't even let you pass up on it. You just said Molly. I mean, everybody that you're saying are like legends in the music industry, man. That must have been. Did you realize it at the time, like how special that moment was, where you were able to like be on the couch and be able to be in these rooms and behind the scenes? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it was special in a spiritual way. I don't know. Just to me, I was just I felt very fortunate and just very blessed for the opportunity, even though I was only getting paid $5 a day.
I don't think I would have cared, man. Listening to Molly, all these different people.
That was my sandwich for the day.
Yeah.
But it was very special in that regard. And for me, it was just like being in the university, being in the college, and learning. Because I was driven to this by listening to those records in the 70s, and like all these great, and why each album sounded different from other albums, and then started learning about microphone techniques and recording techniques. So I was just threw myself in deep to learn how to use microphones, which microphones, microphone placement, and the whole production and how to overdub and build. Oh, that's how they got all these voices on these records.
Because your mic placement and all these different things, all these layers to it.
Right. And as I'm learning to play guitar, it's like, wait a minute, that's impossible to play. Though it's like, it was overdubbed. So learning all the techniques of production.
Has the thought always been to be kind of the behind the scenes in the music industry? Like, hey, I want to go play guitar for this band, or has that ever been part of your thought process?
Maybe early on in my late teenage years, I wanted to be. I thought I was a good guitar player. I thought I think
we all, we all try to be the Michael Jordan or something.
Thrown in the studio with like
the
real guys. I would plug in like Mike Stern. He's an amazing jazz guitarist. Oh my gosh, the guy's phenomenal. And I would, I remember plugging him into his amp and listening, and it was like, that's special. One guy playing.
Special.
It sounded
special.
Like 3 people playing. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna
stay over here.
Very humbling, and I'm gonna learn how to record and produce.
And then how do you decide? Once you determine that, right? Just going through your path, or finding your lane within the music industry. There's a lot of different facets to it, right? I'm assuming behind the scenes you have. To your point, you say a lot of things that I'm not familiar with. But how do you find, as you work through it, the lane that you wanted to be in, whether it's producing or engineering or mixed engineering or kind of whatever that lane is, just to kind of educate even me and some of the listeners?
For me, it's a very emotional, it's spiritually and a very emotional thing. Songs, it's just songs that make me cry and make me laugh and make me feel happy and make me feel sad or make me think about stuff, make me want to dance, So I'm a song-oriented person. So for me, it was all about how do we make songs the
best,
before you release them out to the world, because there's a process from writing to demoing to producing, getting it right before you release it, right? So that's what intrigued me, was the song writing process, the song production process.
Yeah, that's
it's all about the song. It's still to this day.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I just want to listen to you just talk, man. I don't even want to ask you questions. You can just do like a motivational speech on everything, man. I mean, to kind of piggyback on. So being like a recording engineer, right? That's technically what you are, but I know you've written and stuff too. Like, what is that process like? Are you there from like the whole process? So like, let's say it's Damian Marley or Stephen Marley. Are you there right from the beginning, or are they like recording, doing the whole nine, and you're kind of coming in to kind of edit and do the whole nine and make sure it's on point?
Both.
Okay.
Not only both, but also just the mixing.
Got you. Okay.
I really enjoy the process from Jump Street, from blank slate, especially with Stephen and Damian, those guys.
That's awesome.
And, artists and producers like that, so that you're in on the ground floor. So the day one when we're tracking and we're putting ideas together, I'm already mixing.
That's
what I mean?
Awesome.
I start mixing on day one because we capture that energy, and so many times that energy, that vibe of those initial days, those first days is like we captured it, and you got it. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean, kind of thing. Because you could sit there and tweak it and polish it, and it's like which sometimes is necessary and sometimes it's great. But so every project is different. To answer your question, every project is different, and I like being in on the project from day one. Not everybody can afford that, especially in these days. Back in the day when people used to buy these things, they were called CDs.
They call these things CDs. My kids don't even know what CDs are. For real.
We had these things called big budgets.
Yeah,
and that still exists today. I'm just bugging.
Yep.
But it's nice to be a part of that project from beginning to end. Not that I still enjoy mixing, because mixing is a big part of what I do every day, and it's already been recorded. So when I get the tracks, sometimes it's like, whoa, these guys did a really good job. I'm proud of them. This is awesome. Now I got to take it to the next level. Oh my God.
Got it.
And I love the challenge. But sometimes I'll get stuff that's like, dude, that's your drums. That's your bass. Those are your guitars. Those are your vocals. Oh my God, I got work to do.
So you got to figure out how to make it sound perfect
before I mix.
Got it.
So, but I love it all. I take it all. I love it all.
And how does that work? So say you do get this, right? And you do have to go through and change it all. You have to make it to like maximize it. But at some point, does it change the initial theme? And say you do change their initial theme, how much like autonomy do you have to be able to like make your own spin on it? Or do you have to kind of run through it with them every step of the way because they're paying you to do what you do, right? But then when you do what you do, are they like, is there some back and forth on that?
See, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Because every artist is different. And most of the people that know me, they come to me because they know I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to, and 90% of the time they love what I do. And there are times where I'll do something like, nah, Bonzai, we like the way it was before. And that happens. That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
But it's really, every artist is different. Every project is different. And when I approach it, for me, I never lose sight of it's all about the song. It's all about the energy, the emotion, what the artist is trying to say, what the songwriter, the song is trying to convey, whether it's happy, sad, whatever it is, embellish that. Bring out the best elements. So
not change it, but like just
maybe change it a little bit. Like, change it. For the better. You know? And also try to read into what the artist is trying to convey here, right? Because that's the most important thing.
Yep. You're such a big energy person, right? That's why we vibe, right? I was just at your studio just recently, but like, you had to work with some strong egos, right? I can't even imagine like the Mariah Careys of the world, and I don't even know the list of people on your list, but who have you enjoyed working with the best, and like what's like the big lesson from that? Just being in the studio with them, especially winning Grammys and stuff. You got amazing, resume.
Well, there's quite a few. I've been very blessed. So, and you're right about the dynamic between the
ego,
just learning how to deal with ego, and I'm totally okay with it because it's kind of necessary on some level for them as an artist. Obviously, their heads are inflated, and that's why they're stars, right? And that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I don't have I check my ego at the door. I pick it up on the way out. Yeah. But in terms of...
And before you answer that, like people like Madonna, like I was looking at your resume, Madonna, and Mariah Carey, those are strong egos.
Yeah, and there's so many of them I could name. But in terms of, to answer your question, in terms of my if I were to pick like a favorite, it would have to be Stephen Marley, because Stephen, his ear and his mind, his musical approach to things, and I've learned so much over the years. I mean, Stephen and I have been working together on and off since '95.
Are you serious? Wow.
Since Halfway Tree.
Wow.
With Damian and Damian as well. Both of them. I mean, they're really I learn a lot from working with them, especially Stephen, because it's an approach, it's a vision, and it's multifaceted in terms of fun, serious, and happy, and dark, and all those things.
Yeah. Does he talk about his father at all when you've had those intimate conversations?
A little bit here and there. It comes up once in a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has to be a curiosity, right? To at least talk about how that, if you know something for that long.
Gong is the gong, and he's always there, in spirit, right?
For sure.
And that's, kind of, another thing is like when you have those relationships for 20, 30 years, and as an artist, do you ever feel like sometimes you get pigeonholed in a certain dynamic, pigeonholed in a certain style, and then when you try to push, how do you help somebody navigate to grow and push themselves into a different atmosphere?
That's a really good point, because back in the day, that was a huge factor. Back in like the 90s and early 2000s, people, whoa, he's the guy who does electronic dance, because I was doing a lot of house music remixes with like David Morales and Frankie Knuckles and CNC Music Factory. And all the Mariah Carey stuff I was doing, they were all remixes. I was the remix guy, so I got pigeonholed to dance music.
Got it. Yeah.
And I made a living, paid my rent in New York City for 10 years. Then I did one reggae record with this girl, Diana King, that Shy Guy record. Ended up in Bad Boys, the film. Bad Boys, who was
with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
So that record, it was the first reggae album. I did the whole album with her, and I was a fan of reggae and Bob Marley, but it's like I was doing all this electronic dance music all the time, right? So I had to, I just absorbed and learned. I was early days of learning reggae for me in terms of engineering, recording, and production wise. So that Diana King record went huge. The Shy Guy, it was a big hit, and that's when I was contacted by Stephen Marley to go down to Jamaica and start working.
That's absolutely amazing.
That changed everything. I mean, that was like, okay, here we go. And I just embraced it and loved it. And it was like opening up an encyclopedia and going, you need to learn this now. It was a big learning process, but it was, it's still, it never stops.
Yeah. You got a list of songs that I mean, Method Man and Mary J. Blige.
All I need
exactly.
to get by.
Exactly. Didn't you do Ready to Die with Biggie?
Biggie, yeah.
So you did his mixing?
I recorded, yes. I was with Biggie the first time. I did a couple of records with Puffy before he was known. I still call him Puffy.
Okay, I got you.
I still he was Puffy then.
Sure.
And did a couple of records with him before, and he one day brought this guy, Sean,
Biggie in?
To Biggie in, and it was his first day in a big studio, and he was the nicest guy, and we just hit it off, and so I did a lot of the recording on that first album, and some of the mixes. I remember when the credits came out on the album, I was miscredited with the other engineer. There was some mistakes in their crediting, but still, it was me, Tony Maserati, Prince Charles, I think. I'm trying to think of the other engineers that we were all at the Hit Factory like every night, in New York City.
Legendary Hit Factory, by the way.
But I loved working with Biggie. He was just the sweetest guy. The way he would throw down just straight off the top of his head without, because a lot of the rappers, which is fine, would sit there and, write out all the lyrics and go over it over and over, and then go step up to the mic, say, okay, and just read it, which is fine. That's great. That's fine. But not Biggie. Biggie would just step up,
one take,
hit it, Bonds, hit record, and he would just spit this flow like, I'm like, oh my God. And he'd go, let me hear it. And we finished that, and then we go, let me hear that back, and I'd play it back for him, and he'd be like, yeah, Bonds, let me hit that one more time. It's like, I'm going to keep that, go to another track, right? It's analog days. You hit
so you hit, that's it, it's a wrap. Done. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Right? So he's like, no, go over that. I was like, you sure? I could keep that. I'll go to another track. He's like, no, hit it again, go over it. I'm like, all right, okay. I'm nervous, but he's the boss, He would spit a completely different rhyme. Completely different story, completely different lyric, completely different everything. And I'm sitting there going, wait, we're right now erasing what he was previously done.
But I
can't hit stop. I'm not going to hit stop.
When you hear that all the time, you're saying, people rap battle all the time, the barbershops, top 5, dead or alive, whatever. You just explaining that makes me say that he has to always be in the top 5.
Or just the amount of wasted talent that happened, like the wasted songs
that's true too.
that you never even got to hear. You're probably one of the only people that ever got to hear that. Like, that's pretty wild to even think about.
Very true. Yeah.
So many, but it's the way his mind worked. He was a storyteller. He was a lyrical genius, and he was a storyteller. And he had all this. It was like a library in his head, right?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Puffy? I can't let you pass that with Puffy dealing with all he's dealing with right now. What's your thoughts on his situation, man?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that. I feel, I don't know all the details.
Me neither.
But I mean,
crazy.
I haven't worked with Puff since since probably 2002 or something. It's been a while.
Wow. Okay.
We did. I'm trying to remember. He had a girl group. And they
had Danny Kane.
Yeah, a couple of these little projects. And there was another record we did Flavor in Your Ear. Who was that?
Craig Mack.
Craig Mack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Craig Mack. Yeah. He passed away, man. Rest in peace.
No.
Yeah. Craig Mack passed away a few years back.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But you worked on with Craig Mack?
Yeah.
Oh
Actually, we did a record with Craig Mack and Biggie together on one track, but oh my God, there's a story behind that. It never came out. It was never released. I love the track, and it was called "My Man, My Nigga."
That's what it said. That was the album.
That was the name. No, it was a single. It was one song.
Yeah, single.
One
okay.
Song.
Yeah.
And it was I love the track. They went back and forth, complimenting each other, and I thought it was a great track, but it was never released. It came out.
Interesting.
I mean, the rooms,
hopefully,
man.
It's crazy how stuff just
I can't even imagine.
And never comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many great records that that never saw the light of day, especially back in those days in the 90s and early 2000s. These great records, and for whatever reason, it could be contractual, could be publishing.
Can't get the clearing of it.
Sample clearance, exactly. And these wonderful records, and I'm just sitting there going, wait, it's not coming out? You got to be kidding me. Can we do something else with
Especially
it?
Biggie and Craig Mack at the peak. I mean, he was
I think that was a publishing issue.
Okay.
When that happens, do you still get paid? Like, so they're paying you for your time regardless.
The
so they
studio,
distribute it, make money on it, like you're booked.
Welcome to a special edition of Vegas Circle Behind the Lights. We got our guy, James Trader, who's actually the owner of Kase Sake and Sushi. Talk a little bit about your restaurant, how this all came together.
So Kase, we're a casual omakase experience here in Las Vegas. Omakase literally means I'll leave it up to you. So leave it up to us to curate your experience here. One of our most popular menu items is our amori. It's a 7-course plated meal. And with that, you'll start with a seaweed salad, sashimi special, 10 pieces of fresh nigiri, and 2 hand rolls.
This location is fantastic. The environment is lively yet intimate. I think it's great for date nights. The overall experience has been extremely positive. If our listeners could choose one thing on the menu that you'd recommend, what would it be?
Definitely, my favorite is our A5 Wagyu foie gras. We serve that with a cherry amaretto jam, and that's just to die for.
Me and Paki are both big sake fans. We drink it all the time. Thinking a little bit on what that sake experience is like here at Kase.
So we have a great selection of sakes here, from Junmai to Junmai Daiginjos, and even a few Nigoris. We also have a server pick 3 sampler, where our servers will curate, depending on your taste and your meal, a few glasses for you to enjoy and kind of just see the depth that different sakes will have as far as flavors go.
So you guys got to come down and check out Kase. They are located off of Jones, north of the 215 freeway. Check out kasesakesushi.com.
I'm not entitled to those residuals, so when they do come out, guess who makes the big bucks?
Yeah,
right?
of course.
I mean, I get paid for my time unless I'm a co-writer. Some records, or if I'm a co-writer or producer, sometimes if I'm for my production, I'll get a point or a percentage, 5%, 10%, or 20 or 30% of the record, depending upon my involvement. Right?
Wow, that's awesome. How do you feel about the state of music now, and specifically the direction of like AI and things like you've seen what Drake just did with the diss track about Kendrick Lamar and all of that? Like, how do you feel about all the AI stuff that's happening?
We live in interesting times.
Yeah. Me and Chris come out with our album, man. It's awesome.
I mean, I haven't really gotten into it in terms of research myself on what's being, like what you just mentioned with those records.
Yeah.
But in terms of using AI in the studio, I have found a lot of it's, especially a year, it's moving so quickly. It's advancing, so it's, oh my gosh, exponentially. Like, anyway, but in terms of production usage in the studio, it's what I'm finding is it's getting pretty good at isolation. So if you have a track that's an old track from, let's say, the 1970s or whatever, and there's no stems, it's not digital, it's all there is a stereo track, and the label or the producer or whoever owns the publishing wants to do a Dolby Atmos mix with it or a remix or whatever. Some of the new AI driven software is getting pretty good at isolating just a drum track to spit out stems, isolating stems.
Oh, okay.
So you end up with the drums separate, the bass, and guitar, vocals, like really isolated. Where back in the day, it was, even a couple, 3 years ago, to isolate the vocal from a track using filters, you could do a pretty good job of it, depending on the track behind the vocal.
Got it.
But with the AI assisted, stem extraction, if you will, I'm pretty impressed.
with
It's
it.
getting better and better. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
And is that scary, do you think, for people that have, your level of experience?
That's not scary to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. It is what it is. You got to embrace, the times. It's like when digital audio came out. I was analog. Everything we did was analog, tape, reel-to-reel tape, big consoles, and and then when digital audio came out, I was beta testing Pro Tools and some other digital audio recording software, and it was a transition. And a lot of my clients and a lot of people were like,
not feeling it.
I'm with that. Yeah, sure, 100%. But also embracing that, this was what, 94, 95, 93. And, it's like you embrace change. You have to embrace change and just hope people are going to use it and yourself have the integrity to use it in a good way that helps out everybody involved.
It could be, because it could open up the avenues you haven't thought about yet, like digital did, right? When you had analog, open up things that nobody, I'm sure, envisioned 20 years ago what it was doing for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
And people are going to benefit as long as you utilize the tools effectively. It makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yeah. The advent of digital audio recording just was a game changer, big time.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's talk about your new studio. You just launched it. You just had a party, VIP launch, and got a chance to see that and see all the new rooms, which amazing studio. And if I remember correctly, it's the only Adobe recording studio here, right? Or certified here.
I don't know that it's the only, but I know that there's only a couple here in Vegas.
Okay.
But we might be the only certified, although I'm not really sure on that. There's 2 or 3 others. But yeah, we just opened our doors, Shrine Studios on Charleston Street downtown. And it's a beautiful facility. We have the capability of 9.4.2 Dolby, but most Dolby Atmos right now is working in 7.1.
Okay.
So we have the capability of both, and it's just a beautiful environment, and it's both Logic oriented and Pro Tools, so you can run Logic sessions and Pro Tools sessions in there. And we're just opening our doors, so we're just getting started. We're super excited with my partner Simon Apex.
Met Simon, great guy.
Simon is amazing, and the whole staff there, everybody there is just wonderful, and it's just
shout out to your GM too. I forgot your GM's name, your manager there.
Billy,
great dude.
He's holding down the fort. He makes sure everything's running smoothly. But so I mean, Simon has put so much into it, and over the last several months in terms of the design and the build of it. And I would just come in and go, well, we have to do this, and this, and this, and this, and here we go. Okay, I'll take that. But it just came out so. It's just beautiful. You saw it. It's gorgeous,
it's awesome.
Right? And it's we're just so super excited because of the advent of what's going on in this town, right?
That's what I wanted to get to. Yeah, for sure.
The film industry moving here from Hollywood, what they're calling Vegas Hollywood 2.0. Right. So it's a perfect time. We're just getting started. We're going to see a lot of changes in development in that area, right? In the coming years.
I mean, they say probably the next 5 to 7 years is like a gold rush in Vegas, just with everything, like you said, Hollywood 2.0. I mean, was it Sony and Howard Hughes just opened up in Summerlin, and then I can't remember, was it Disney? Well, he's doing some consulting with them, but not Disney, but was it Warner Brothers?
I heard Disney as well.
Oh, was it Disney? I couldn't remember. It's one of the two.
Me on that, but I heard.
Yeah, it's either Warner Brothers or Disney. I know they're opening up a studio, so it's gonna be like 3 studios here, which I love it. I love art, so I love the aspect of all of that. So I think it's just going to make us so much better as a city. Just
oh my God, this town is blowing up. And
is that why you moved here? That's what I was going to ask you. Why? Because you're originally in New York City, right? So when did you move to Vegas?
I lived in New York City most of my life, about 30 years. And I came out here in 2008 to help and design and build a studio. At the time, it was called Odds On. It's over right close to here on Sunset Way.
Okay.
At that time, in 2008, we built a beautiful multi-million-dollar studio. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I was the chief engineer there for a while. And I wasn't going to stay here. I was going to go back to New York, but I kind of met a girl, and you know how that Gotcha. I'm still here 14 years later.
Yeah.
But since then, that studio originally was called Odds On. Now it's called The Hideout.
Oh, I went to the Hideout.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I went to listen to International GT's listening party.
So
Yeah.
That was the reason why.
You built, okay, so you built that studio.
Yeah, when I had come out here, and that was just a warehouse with dirt floor.
Yeah.
Nothing in it, basically. A little office and a little tiny little studio in the front. But they had a vision to put Vegas on the map with this, the biggest, most beautiful multi-million-dollar recording studio here. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And then I fell in love with Vegas. I really did. I still work in New York, and I go back. My family's there, and I still go back. And I love New York City. It's always be my home.
Yeah.
But I love it. There's something magical for me here in Las Vegas. There's something magical about the desert. I love the Native American culture since I was a kid, and that could be anywhere, right? Yeah. But there's something about the desert Southwest is especially magical because of the hardships here for them, the indigenous people. And I don't know, just the open space and the weather. I mean, come on. No, we have no
sunny every day.
We're like 360 days a year of sunshine, man. It's like only a couple days. Yeah, it's only a couple days. It's cloudy.
Yeah. In New York City, I was with a woman, my partner, my first wife, actually, for many years. She suffered from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Because in New York City, like basically from November through almost March,
it's gray.
It's a lot of gray skies.
Can't even go outside very often.
I lived in New England for many years. Yeah, same. Very gray.
There is something to be said for that sunshine because it really does affect people. Different people differently.
That's true. Yeah, good point. Very good point. I love the direction that Vegas is going. Who's been kind of some of your mentors, man? We always talk about people in your circle and things like that. And I know you've got a big circle, but then a small circle at the same time. But who's kind of spoken in your life and that you kind of bounce things off to kind of keep you straight and keep you aligned?
I mean, back in the day, originally when I was just getting into it, it was producers like, Trevor Horn was the first guy that comes to my mind. Trevor Horn, I was a huge fan of Trevor Horn when he came out with, because I was a big Yes fan in the 1970s as a child. Those Yes records were great, and I loved like Jimi Hendrix and the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, that whole psychedelic movement. I really loved the Pink Floyd, of course. Yeah. But when Owner of a Lonely Heart came out, that that he produced, the Yes album, I was just, sampling was a pretty new technology. We had one of the first samplers, and I heard that record. And I just fell in love with Trevor Horn's production. And he went on to produce all the Seal records.
Oh, wow.
Responsible for Seal. Grace Jones.
Oh, wow.
Slave to the Rhythm, which is one of my faves. Yeah. So he was a big inspiration, Trevor Horn, and still is. I mean, I still listen to those records, and I'm just like, man.
Is it just actually watching them in act? Like I know International GT's mentioned you, like just watching you in action, how you do it. Is it that you kind of learn? Is you can actually see them do something and like, okay, I need to learn this and tweak this.
I wish I've never got to sit with Trevor Horn. I mean, he's based in the UK. And,
okay.
But just listening to his productions was very inspiring to me. I found it. But in terms of like one-on-one, fast forward for me. Really, guys like Stephen Marley. Again, I go back to Stephen because of the way he approaches things, and also a big and Arif Mardin is not who he produced a lot of huge. Who did I work with? Diana Ross. Was him. Yeah. And he taught me. And Bette Midler. We did Bette Midler record. We did a Diana Ross record. We did a couple other huge. And Arif Mardin really taught me how to get performances from vocalists, how to get them to be in that moment, to read those lyrics on the page and convey that emotion, make them cry almost, make them laugh, whatever the song was about. So I learned a lot from Arif Mardin for vocal production.
That's powerful.
To get performances out of these artists. Because sometimes they walk up to the mic in the studio and they kind of clam.
A little timid. Yeah, a little timid.
So it's just like set the lighting. I'll set up. I'll do stuff like I'll set up a artboard and some pencils and some color paints and Easel.
Yeah.
And and just while they're on the mic, throw some paint on there. One time I put up a mannequin and with a bunch of paint brushes, like paint the mannequin while
just
we're singing.
to get them in something else, get their mind off of it. That's good.
Depending on the song and depending on the artist, obviously, because some artists you don't need to do anything. Just put one of these in front of them and let them go. Thing. Yeah,
that's powerful. I'd love to just be a fly on the wall, just for some of the people you work with, man. Just to be in the studio.
Maybe just to see one song being produced from start to finish. Like I've never, I don't think I've ever seen that.
I've never have either, except for watching videos, but not in there in the studio.
And that process you just mentioned it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year.
Oh wow.
On one song.
So that's pretty crazy.
Depending
to make it right.
Yeah. It really depends. Every project, every song, is different. Every artist.
Yeah, that's wild. What do you find to be the best ones? Like the ones that take a long time, or the ones that are like rapid?
There's a lot to be said for both. I kind of like the ones that come together really quickly.
Yeah.
I did a record with Ice-T. His very first album was called Rhyme Pays.
Oh wow!
And I think we went in there with blank tape. This was also analog days before computers.
Yeah.
And I think we went in the studio on a Friday. I'm trying to be accurate about this, but I believe we went. It was me and him and Izzy and I forget all the other guys on the Easy-E.
Oh yeah, Easy-E for sure. Yeah.
And we went in on a Friday, Secret Sound Studios in Manhattan, and I think we were finished by Monday. We did that whole. We just lived in that studio for 72 hours.
The whole album, or just
and there's something. So there's a lot
magic.
Yeah. So there. Yeah, even when I'm writing songs and do demos at home with acoustic guitar and a piano and a singer and blah, 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 and we just lay down a basic, you don't want to overdo it and spend a bunch of time, polishing this, because it's like, then you overdo it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like painting. I paint on the side as for therapy.
Okay.
It's my therapy.
Okay.
I'm an abstract painter, but it's the same thing. It's like, knowing when to stop. Right?
Yeah.
It's like we're done. Enough background vocal parts, enough guitar parts.
Yep. This is finished.
Enough drum, enough percussion. Yes, we can add tambourine and shaker, and but it's knowing when to say when.
Got it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's good. How many songs you think you've been a part of? Did you stop keeping track now since you've been in for this long?
God, or a long time ago. So
yeah,
thousands and thousands and thousands. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
very blessed.
Just for business advice, man. I mean, you're in so many different rooms, right? You're there's musicians that, build their own businesses. They've got small businesses. They invest in different things. What's something that you would leave on, leave somebody with, or a nugget you would leave, maybe an artist with that maybe they're afraid to put out their music or whatever the situation is, or, maybe they've got a vision to build their own business, and what's just one nugget you would leave them with?
Just following your heart and your dream, just believing in yourself, and I know it's cliche. Everybody says, believe in yourself, follow your heart, but that really is true. I mean, and challenge yourself. Yep. I mean, if you think you can do better, then that means you can probably do better. Yeah. If you think like, oh my God, I'm really proud of this, I like it.
Yeah.
Then leave it and maybe either learn from it.
Yeah.
Because years later, you're going to look back and go, I should have kept going, and you learn as you go, right? Like anything else.
Yeah, for sure. That's good advice. Very good advice. I'm a big foodie. We were talking about this recently. I mean, I love, and Vegas is becoming the food mecca now. Yes. I mean, literally coming like New York City, I believe. But what's your favorite restaurant in Vegas?
God, I can't, you said, I can't keep up with them. There's
it's
so many, and
there's
so many good. I mean, I thought New York had great restaurants.
New York got
oh
great,
my God, this
really
town's got it like.
And every day there's a new one.
Yeah, and every day's a new
right?
one. 100%. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm Italian, so I love Italian food.
I love Italian food also.
So there's a few. There's one spot I don't go to. The Strip isn't really my. I mean, there's so many great restaurants on the Strip. It's like, but I love the little local joints off the Strip. Right?
I love it. Yeah.
But there's one place on the Strip that I don't know. There's something about it reminds me of home. Is Maggiano's there?
Maggiano's is great.
That was good.
Yeah. In terms of that
fashion show, right?
Fashion show. Yep. Family style. And then there's also I love Japanese food. I'm a big Japanese food. love sushi.
Yeah.
There's a little local place near me. I could walk from my house. It's called Soho Japanese.
Soho, okay.
Where is that located? It's on Warm Springs and Jones.
Okay. Soho, awesome.
They're great. I love that place.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some Gaetano's, another great Italian restaurant.
Is that Henderson?
It is on Eastern.
Yeah, I've been there. They have very good family.
Really,
I think it's the son took over the restaurant, if I'm not mistaken. Very good food.
Food there is really good. Prosecco Italian is another one of my faves.
Okay.
I could sit here and go on and on.
I was Italian in another life, man. I love Italian. I gotta stay away from the carbs, but I love Italian food. So
you're making me hungry.
Right? Yeah, for sure. I probably should talk about it, man. That's good, man. There's some gems. What else did you want to leave us out on, man? I know you got the new studio. Shrine Studios. Who are you working with right now? Can you share who you've been in the studio with?
Oh my gosh, I got to get a shout. So right now, the Mortimer album just came out last week.
I don't know. I think I saw. Yeah, you posted that. Oh
my goodness,
that's fire! I heard the song.
The whole album. I think I spent maybe a year and a half mixing these songs with Mortimer. Is just an amazing songwriter, and his producer Winter Jams.
Okay.
Is just just the songs are. I would literally be working on these songs and just sob and just wiping tears, and I'd have to I can't keep my cheeks dry.
That's what's up.
These songs are beautiful. They're powerful. So the Mortimer album that just came out is simply amazing. We have Reggae Rise Up coming up this weekend, which is going to be great.
I might try to go to that.
Yeah.
Are you going to that?
I'll be there all 3 days in that.
Yeah,
I got
to that
stick figure and slightly stupid.
That's downtown, right?
Revolution.
What
Downtown Event Center, right?
Where is it at? Is it
Downtown Event Center?
Downtown Event Center. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
Those are two. I'm working on a record right now with, remember Aini Kamazi?
I don't know who that
is. Come the hot step up, murder.
Oh, yeah. I know that song for sure. Yeah.
I always called him Aini Kamazi, but I guess it's I.
So you're working with him now?
Yeah, he's got some new material that we've been working on. What else? It's hard to keep. John Ine from Jamaica is also with VP Records, doing some stuff for VP Records. What else? Some Southern Cali stuff. Fortunate Youth.
Okay.
I worked on the Tribal Seeds. I mixed the Tribal Seeds
album. You introduced me to that with the Tribal Seeds. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just blessed to be busy and working on some really great killer projects. Really beautiful stuff.
Well, guys, pay attention to Bonzai, man. I swear, you need to come out with a movie. They need to have a documentary on you, man, of all those stories.
Actually,
you making it happen?
In the works.
Okay, nice. I would super support that. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, there's a documentary in the works here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I applaud that.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Good stuff, man. What's your social handles people can reach out to you on? Yep.
BonzaiCaruso.com is my website, but Instagram at Bonzai Caruso. Facebook, I have a couple of James Bonzai Caruso and Bonzai Caruso. I have a social media guy. Big shout out to LV Roots here in Vegas.
Yeah.
My man Julian, he pretty much manages my social media accounts.
Awesome.
So big up Julian. He's amazing. And at Bonzai Caruso, Instagram.
Awesome. And we're waiting for that documentary, man. Keep me posted on that. I'd love to support that, man. That'd be good stuff, man. Check us out, thevegascircle.com, and subscribe with us, man. Appreciate your time, brother. That was really good. Thank you, man.
Thanks.